S-D-P, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Alexander Ovechkin has 6 goals in his last 6 games. Bobby McMahon has 3 goals in his last 1 games.
Bobby better! Say it with your chest.
McVetchkin. McMahon-Ovechkin.
No. Oh, Alex Ovechkin wishes he was Bobby McMahon.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Dude,
Canadian machine never breaks.
Bobby friggin' McMahon.
Yeah.
From wherever he's from.
Yeah.
I
think
forget.
He's Canadian. I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Now, if I told you the Leafs had allowed 15 shots and you didn't know anything about the game, you'd probably be like, wow, that must have been a really bad period for them. But no, friends. They held the Blues, who had won 7 of their last 8, to 15 shots the entire game. That's without Morgan Rielly, who was suspended 30 minutes before game time. That's without John Tavares and without Mitch Marner, who are fighting illness. And I know there's been like this crazy flu bug that's like a 24-hour thing that tore through the Leafs earlier this year.
Yeah.
I got it over Christmas. Party. Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking they actually showed on TSN last night Mitch Marner leaving the arena, and he just looked like he was in rough shape. Like he showed up. He just is like, I just can't do it. Right. And if you're going to vomit your face off, that's kind of not great to strap on skates.
Yeah, it's kind of not great.
Now, we're going to work backwards. We're going to talk about the game first, and then we're going to talk about Morgan Rielly, because the Morgan Rielly thing has been talked about. You obviously did a video on it, Steve. We are going to hit it, but I think we should start with the good thing. And
and there's a Treliving press conference that's going to happen like during the show.
That's right. And I'm wondering about that press conference because, it's ostensibly to say to address the Morgan Rielly suspension, but like what?
Well,
so, when we bring up a topic for the show, it's like, yes, that's the thing that happened, but what can we talk about? What's Brad going to talk about?
Like, are you just organizing a press conference in order to pay a $250,000 fine? Like, is that what you're doing?
That's the thing. Like, is he going to go out there and rant? I don't see him as that. He's pretty candid, but I don't think he's that kind of guy.
I highly doubt it.
So he's going to say, well, Morgan got suspended, as you know, and we're going to appeal to Gary.
I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Do you need to do that, or can you just send a text to all the insiders and let them report it?
Let people ask some questions too.
Yeah?
Yeah. And you never know. Maybe he spills a little tea about what actually went on in the hearing.
Oh, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's allowed.
All right, and here's George Peros explaining why Morgan got his suspension. You're on mute, George. George, you gotta press. You're on mute, George.
Can you imagine? Do you think that they all show up on time, or it's like, oh, okay, guys, it's like a typical meeting. We're gonna let everybody kind of just file in here.
He shows up.
How's everybody
2 hours
doing?
late, like Putin.
Yeah,
it's a power move.
So yeah, we don't know what the Treliving press conference is going to be as of this recording. We may beat the Treliving press conference, so it may not make it into the show. We just don't know. We don't even know when it's going to happen. Leafs do beat the Blues, and as I said, Morgan Rielly not in the lineup, but also surprisingly, Tavares and Marner also not in the lineup. And I believe that's the first time that
all three of them
haven't played together since Tavares showed up.
Yes, dude. And I said to Maddie, what did I say as soon as I walked in? That was the most predictable Leaf win of all time. The most predictable Leaf win of all time.
Why is that?
Because there's no reason to expect a victory. None whatsoever. And that's why they won.
Jesse, would you have put money on the Leafs winning with that lineup last night?
Yeah. No,
Yeah?
that's like we forget that they're all professional hockey players and everything's competitive. The schedule makers always do fun stuff where they split the games of when a Western Conference team comes to the Eastern Conference, they got to play Toronto. It's either you play Toronto first and then you go to Montreal, or you play Montreal first and then you go to Toronto. This time,
Ottawa.
And then Ottawa's also in that little trifecta, and they hit Buffalo and all that stuff. And this time the Blues were at the tail end of their road trip. You know, they're coming there, and everybody who plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs is a professional hockey player who is qualified to play in the NHL. And when you have these games, the guys usually step up. It's a thing that the Vegas Golden Knights
yes.
and the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think it was the Tampa Bay Lightning in particular, that they relish in. They relish in opportunities where they're short a man. Yeah. And then they, when everybody's out and they just get to run their guys all game, they love playing like that, and they usually win those games because hockey, more than a lot of sports, is just an effort game. And sometimes when you're just putting in an extra effort and the other team's a little lazier, like the Blues were last night, you win.
Yeah. So on that note, though, like full marks to the Leafs. We're gonna
compliment the shit out of them.
We're gonna compliment the shit out of them. That might be the worst effort any team has put against the Leafs this season.
Doesn't matter. It's part of the schedule.
Teams have stinkers.
Yeah. Oh, it was horrible. Dude, 15 shots.
What's the record you gave out in the LFR for the Leafs against the Central Division?
They're 8-2-2 against the Central Division, but they have 2 losses
Those
against
2 losses.
The Chicago Blackhawks.
Because teams have stinkers, and you should not have 2 losses to the Blackhawks, and their only 2 losses against that division are to the Blackhawks.
Their record without Morgan Rielly would have them like beat the Bruins record from last season. If it was like it's ridiculous.
And then sidebar to all of that, that's why what the Vancouver Canucks are doing this season is so impressive, because their record against teams outside of the playoffs is unreal.
Which is what you should do that.
Yes, they beat the teams that are in front of them that they should be beating. So
now, guys, there's a few things I want to hit with this game. First off, guy that we've been hard on, Timothy Brodie, had a great game last night.
He stepped up.
76% expected goals for when he was on the ice. That's pretty darn good. The second thing I wanted to mention is, and we will get to Bobby McMahon, but something you notice when, and I hate to say this, when Tavares is not on the second line, is the speed that the team has. They were much faster last night. Now, the Blues are not that fast, but neither are the Leafs. And I definitely think, I felt like the Leafs, part of what the DNA originally was supposed to be 5-6 years ago was this team skated you into the ground and scored a bunch of goals and drew a bunch of penalties. That was the whole ethos. They progressively got slower, never have drawn a penalty, never very good at it. Last night, they got the bare minimum calls. Jake McCabe, I don't know if he can breathe out of either nostril at this point.
Dude.
How many times the guy's got to break a nose?
He cut himself. Like,
well, he got
by his visor and his head going into the glass.
Here.
Like,
why was his head going into the glass though?
Because he got pushed a little.
And then Domi coming in and hitting the guy that hit Jake McCabe, and Domi gets an interference call, even though that guy has the puck.
There's been at minimum 3 missed calls on Jake McCabe over the last 3 games.
The Marchment one for sure was.
You could argue 4. Marchment, yes. There was a high stick, and then last night there was a high stick,
and he just looked at the ref and was like, "What the hell?" And do you see him in the? I've got a. I'm gonna sit. I've got it.
Do you have a screen cap? I was about to show it to Jesse.
Don't worry.
I forgot to put it in the LFR.
I got it. I'll send it over to Jesse.
Mangled face.
Yeah, just give him the press conference afterwards, Jesse. I'll send it over.
He looks like friggin' Professor Moody.
If you don't love Jake McCabe at this point, like I've loved this player since before he's a Leaf, but man, this guy is a warrior, and he's making $4 million total, but $2 million to be here, and just goes out and gives it every single night. He was also QBing the power play.
Look at his face.
He's just messed. Look at that. Look at that. He for sure broke his nose, right?
100%. Dude, there's no way his visor did all of that.
Yeah, the one where he got pushed and then Domi got the penalty, that was
the visor.
Yeah, he got shoved into the glass.
So those are 2 different visors.
He had a pre-existing cut from the night before, though.
Yeah.
Because of the Marchment hit.
Yeah, that one where he definitely got whacked is a bad one.
Both were probably his visor. There's just, when bodies go screaming into your head. Right. Crazy, huh?
Combination of visor, glass, everything, and just the cuts like fresh.
Yeah.
Like he's freshly bleeding all the time.
Really?
And I love the quote. You guys are trying to get me to complain about the officials. Not going to do it. Just going to keep putting a smile on my face and competing. How do you not love this guy? This is the guy you've been waiting for. This is the heart and soul guy. This is him.
Games like this are kind of a reminder that and by we, I mean the media who go down there. It's not like I interview these guys every day. They lean on the same guys too much. I think, because I was like, when was the last time like a Jake McCabe interview was featured prominently? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't see it much. And
it's other guys.
And I love William Nylander, but I could care less what he has to say. He doesn't have a good quote.
He could care less what he has to say.
Yeah.
He's not interested in giving it.
No.
And that's fine. It doesn't make him any less charismatic. He's just
not a post-game guy.
No, he's got a microphone allergy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I know guys who can't eat peanut butter. He's the same way.
Like, why do they got to talk to Tavares every night? What's Tavares going to do?
Dude, that's enough.
I know he's the captain, but like...
Oh, my God. And Reeves is too much of a crutch for these guys.
Yeah.
But he brings the hits.
Well, he received the hit last night.
He received the hit from noted Alan Wall's client.
5'9" Nathan Walker. Crushed him.
Walker, 40 pounds lighter than Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, but that's hockey. That you can catch people, momentum. That's what happens.
The people took a lot of shots at Ryan Reeves for that one.
I mean,
well,
he kind of brought it on because he was like, make hockey violent again, tattoo it on myself, and then,
he got tattooed to the board.
yeah, and yeah, it's a good hit.
it's a good
hit
there. Yeah.
Woo!
The other thing that nobody accounts for in hockey is smaller guys can pack a wallop if they're stronger. And the thing is that like or strong, period. Like in weightlifting, they always say the shorter guys get the bigger arms because they have shorter levers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, you look at a guy like, forget his Twitter personality, but Theo Fleury back in the day was not a guy that ever got blown up. He was tiny, but he can you remember Theo Fleury getting crushed? Never.
No, why would you go after him?
He would crush you.
Like, what are you, nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really stupid thing to do. If you like hits like this, I'm sure all you would need to search on YouTube is Tyler Myers, Kazakhstan. Do you remember that, Adam?
No.
Dude, it was on Canada.
Jesse, do you remember that?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Guaranteed.
What about you, Maddie? Tyler Myers, Kazakhstan. Are you
Guaranteed.
Who's Tyler Myers?
Who's Tyler Myers? How dare you? That's former top 15 pick Tyler Myers.
What happened?
Tell us about Kazakhstan.
When he was on the Canadian World Junior team, and Kazakhstan was in Group A, Canada, they beat Kazakhstan something like 12-0. It was ridiculous. But Tyler Myers, who's 6'7", got blown up by this random kid that I've never heard of since, who was like 5'6". Guaranteed people remember that. It was like Canada dominated them from the moment the puck was dropped until the final horn. But the most notable moment from that game was, oh shit, that random little child blew up like the biggest available player in this draft.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair to Ryan Reeves, like it's not like puck handling is his thing,
No.
It isn't. It isn't. Like I'm not trying to be insulting, but like we know why Ryan Reeves is here. It's to grab people after the whistle.
Yes. And go, hey, now.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
The player's name was Mikhail Lorensko, and he was 5'4". It was
5'4". Tyler Myers is 6'7".
Jesse, what can you tell us about Mikhail Lorensko's career?
I can't. I was just looking at the video of the hit, but
I can look it up.
I can do the DB if you'd like. There you go.
There's no way he's available on HockeyDB.
What do you mean? Why not?
There's no way.
We can do elite prospects.
You'd have to go elite prospects.
Okay.
There's no way. He would have to be in like a major league, and I just doubt it.
All right. So Mikhail Lorensko, date of birth, June 29th, 1989, Kazakhstan. Played for the Torpedo Yus-Kamensgorsk. Said that correctly. Played for them for a few years. Then played in the Metallurg
Novokuznetsk.
There you go. Russia under 16 finals. And the career did not last very long.
No, but he was on the Kazakhstan World Junior team.
Yep.
Wow.
And then, after that World Juniors, played 2 more years, and then the Elite Prospects page ends.
Torpeda Ust.
So this
Kamenogorsk.
that could very well be one of the highlights of his entire career.
I would say based on the resume here.
Tyler Myers has been in the NHL for over a decade, and he blew his ass up at the World Junior.
That's got to feel good.
It's gotta feel amazing.
As does it for Nathan Walker and for Blues fans and for anybody that loves dunking on the Leafs, which is everybody right now.
No, people don't like that. They're very objective.
Ilya Samsonov, when he had to, and he didn't have to very much, made some pretty solid saves as well. And what's interesting about this is when we were talking about him December, we were talking about like you cannot play this player right now because the Leafs couldn't even play in front of him.
No, they couldn't.
And boy, did they look confident in front of him. And not just this game, but previous games coming up to this too.
That's the second time this season the Leafs have given up fewer than 20 shots with Samsonov in net. They got him a shutout against the Preds and 1 goal on a deflection from the Blues.
Martin Jones has got to be thinking, why couldn't you do this against the Sens, guys? Like,
oh my God.
Like, why can't you can do it for Ilya. Why can't you do it for me?
So I will say, like, yeah, the Leafs hunkered down and they did some really good things. The Sens were playing like it was a playoff game. The Blues shouldn't have shown up. That like Blues fans, I'm not trying to insult the team. Like, how much time
I think Blues fans know.
Yeah, how much time have we spent on this show trashing the Blues? Like, it's not like we think less of them. They're rebuilding and they're just or retooling, I guess, and they're just not quite there yet. That was the shittiest performance any team has given the Leafs this season.
And yet they're their first wild card, I think.
There's absolutely no way they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are.
No way.
Yeah.
That was a playoff team we watched last
a playoff
night.
Team, yeah, at least right now.
They shouldn't have
It's
gotten
funny
off
because
the bus.
I checked this because their division, I think Winnipeg's at least 10 points up on them.
The Sentinel,
and Winnipeg is third in their division. So fourth is St. Louis. St. Louis is the second wild card.
No way.
Behind
In the
LA.
West?
Yeah, and then Nashville's just 2 points behind them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that was awful. Like the first Bobby McMahon.
But they're
goal.
7-3-0 in their last 10. So they're on a bit of a
Well, then, I mean, they had the best Grace O'Malley's has to offer then the night before. I don't know what to tell you. That was
bad
like
game.
They went Buffalo, Montreal, Toronto, and I think they might have spent a little bit too much extra time in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's a good city.
Could you blame them?
The weather's nice, and you make your way over to Toronto, and it's third game in the road trip after the All-Star break. You're a little sluggish, and they didn't show up.
I mean, you played the Leafs top line and the Marlies and got dummy.
You know who did show up though? Jordan Binnington. I think that
Yeah,
game
he was good.
That game could have been 6-1.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Jordan Binnington, who made a few 10 bell saves. It was a good game for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tyler Bertuzzi is going to try to have him.
Yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi in particular had 8 scoring chances and scored on none of them, and another 8 assist chances and scored on none of them. It was ridiculous.
Tyler Bertuzzi is going to take a hit out against the goalpost.
Will he ever score again?
No. Dude, Bobby McMahon, after his hat trick, is 1 goal behind him.
I think Domi's got 6 as well.
McMahon is so close to a dangerous amount of players right now. I think he's 2 back of Robertson or 3. He's tied with Noah Gregor after last night. Dude, it's not okay. They need depth scoring so bad.
Yeah, so that's why Bertuzzi felt like he was having a great game last night, and it's so funny because they showed a little clip. I don't know if you caught the TSN feed on it, but they showed a little clip of him working on drills in tight.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're like, yeah, he's been working on these. And then the first shot he has afterwards fires it wide of the net on an open net, open cage, and the goalie's down. And you're like, come on, man.
If shooting regression is really a thing, which I believe it to be, he's going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Well, next season. Because the thing is, this seems like a season slump. This doesn't feel like a 20-gamer or 30-gamer. Hasn't scored in 18 games.
Dude, it's crazy. It's every game, we should be yelling and screaming for this player to be taken off the second line. We should be yelling and screaming.
But he's playing too well.
He's playing too well. Cannot. Again, he might as well be playing with a ringette stick. Yesterday in the LFR, I said they should have a ceremony where they just go into the parking lot of the practice facility and just burn all his sticks, roast marshmallows on it. And the top comment on my YouTube video is, do not roast marshmallows over a fiberglass fire. And you know what?
Fair.
Yes.
Fair point.
Fair point.
Shout out Rink Rat Report on Twitter. They put together a compilation of all of Tyler Bertuzzi's scoring chances from last night, and it's a great highlight pack of great opportunity. He was phenomenal last night, and nothing went in, and it's so disappointing because you want a guy like that to just get one.
Boss.
Oh, here he comes. He's gonna get it. That was Robertson one too. I forgot about that one.
He set up Robertson. Binnington goes over, makes a great save. To be fair, Robertson shot it right into his chest.
No,
and
great.
Snake bitten. Just every single opportunity. He couldn't get anything going, but good game
your
from
stick.
him.
Here he is on a breakaway. He's gonna get it. Nope.
His hands on the breakaway, just not there. Stone hands.
Oh my God.
But,
here he is. Stop. Oh my God, Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He'll get one eventually if he keeps playing like that.
One? He should break, like, who holds the record? Lemieux? He should, like, honest to goodness, Tyler Bertuzzi might double his goal total next game. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. It's crazy that he's still on 6. Absolutely unreal.
Bobby McMahon, like I said last night, 3 goals, 6 shots, 8 shot attempts, 5 hits, and 2 blocked shots. This guy was supposed to be scratched,
which is so concerning.
And the first goal going in was just full blown effort, right? That was just an effort goal. The second goal a little more finesse. The third was just a wild clear for an empty netter.
Yeah. Well, the first goal was him in a board battle with Braden Shen, and Braden Shen went, you know what? No, you go.
But I think it does speak to the fact that like I know the Blues were bad, but like, are we deploying these players properly?
No, we're not. Dude, how long have I been saying it about Bobby McMahon?
There's something there, isn't there?
They're wrong about this player. They're dead wrong about this player. You were going to scratch him? He's not a scratch on this team.
No, he's not.
Nope. Not even a little. Okay, Tavares and Marner come back. Alex Steeves, unfortunately, you're the free space because you just got called up. Ryan Reeves, you're both gone. Oh, well, we want Ryan Reeves. Okay, great. Noah Gregor.
For what? Oh, yeah, well.
Like, dude,
but then you
Bobby
lose that.
McMahon is not a scratch on this team. He's not. He has to play. You find a way and he has to play. Gosh darn it. Don't make me use harsh
Where
language.
would you put him? Jesse, where would you put Bobby McMahon with Marner and Tavares back? Because are you really maximizing him? And I'm with playing him with a player like David Kampf, who I haven't noticed in 15 games. I don't even know when he's on the ice.
I'm fine with anybody coming out in favor of Bobby McMahon the way he played last night. I think you reward a player like that, whether it's Noah Gregor, whether it's Ryan Reeves, he deserves at least a spot on the fourth line because there's somebody who
at least
you can see if he's just in the lineup, there's a spark there. And I wanted to pull up the lineup from last night there. If it's like the top line will be Nyes, Matthews. You go back to Marner, right? Put Marner back there. You go Bertuzzi, Tavares, Nylander, right?
You're going to think I'm nuts. If you wanted to add a spark to the top 6 and to the bottom 6, you could swap McMahon with either of the 2 guys ahead of him. You could swap for at least a few shifts a game. I'm not saying permanently, but I would be totally comfortable. Nyes is on the third line for the second period. McMahon's on the top line. Take Bertuzzi off, put him in a deeper role. I'm dead serious. I love this player.
Yes, but I think a realistic view of that is you leave Nyes in his position.
Yeah.
And you don't replace him with Bobby McMahon.
So, how do you feel about Bertuzzi, Domi eventually on the third line together?
That's what I'm saying, Adam. That's what I'm saying. Bertuzzi, Domi, Robertson? Bertuzzi, Domi, Yarncroke.
And could Robertson or Nylander switch sides? I know Nylander doesn't do great on the opposite, does he?
One of the great strengths of the Leafs roster is what they lack in like an abundance of depth talent. Basically, every winger can switch.
Oh, okay. Because
almost everyone.
The thinking is, or my thinking is, I liked Nick Robertson's game last night. I don't think anybody couldn't like Nick Robertson's game. He had some good takeaways, some good shots.
He had a bad turnover that Sheldon Keefe has to talk to him about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he's also
Sheldon has to do that with Willie too. You know.
Well, like it was just like a mental mistake, and he doesn't have a spot in the NHL where you can be making those. I think it was the pass up to the point, and he just kind of fluffed it.
I think
something that you and I do at hockey on Fridays, where you don't put any effort on the pass.
No, surely never, not me.
No,
surely never. No, I think. If you're McMahon, you're like, oh, I thought I was going to be a healthy scratch, and I'm on the third line. Lol, and you just play the loosiest goosiest game you've ever played. If you're Robertson, you're like, I'm on the second line, I have to make it tonight. So maybe it was a difference in attitude and preparation and there was some nerves there. It matters, right? Like Alex Steeves, like we didn't see a ton of him yesterday, but every shift he was trying to make the NHL. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And sometimes it helped him, sometimes it hurt him. He was just trying to make the NHL with every stride he took. So maybe that's the difference between Robertson and McMahon right now.
So Kampf is the fourth line center.
Yes,
When,
question mark.
when JT comes back. So it's Matthews, JT, Domi, Kampf down the middle. And then Nyes, Bertuzzi, McMahon.
So this is the problem they're eventually going to get to. Is Holmberg is probably the more versatile player. Mm-hmm. McMahon, I think, is the better player at his position.
So do you move Holmberg to the wing?
Yes, unless it means scratching McMahon, who I think is better there.
I think Reeves has got to be the odd man. Like, dude,
Come on!
I feel like they're a little averse to scratching. Well, you couldn't do it last night because you just need the bodies. But going forward, they're gonna have to deal with Reeves going to the media and being like, "I don't like being scratched," and they're just gonna have to suck it up and scratch him.
Well, I don't think he liked being scratched for like over a month at a time.
I'm sure he understands sitting every other game.
Like, I'm sure William Legason is upset that he was scratched for 2 months, and
we didn't hear from him.
We didn't hear a peep.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. And kudos to him for that. No, dude. Like, it's not just one game with this player. I'm sure there are people here who are like, I don't know, Steve. I don't listen to every episode. I haven't heard you talk about Bobby McMahon. And if I have, I forgot because it was about Bobby McMahon. But for a player, his height and weight, he's very fast. He's got kind of nice hands. He's got kind of a nice shot. And I think if you put him into more situations, like, dude, if you're worried about, like, if Tavares and Marner are game time decisions next game, shouldn't this game be evidence that, yeah, you know what, we're just going to go with this lineup again. We're just going to go with it for one more game. One more game, because we want to see what these guys can do in this situation. And we're investing in the rest of our season by giving Tavares and Marner a break. Doesn't that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
And that way, McMahon, who seems to have all these raw tools, but it's easy to have these raw tools when you're playing 8-9 minutes a night on the fourth line playing against crappy competition. Put him on the third line, maybe even a couple shifts on the second line. Like, dude, he was shutting the game down with less than 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and listen, if Noah Gregor, which people forget, took a couple shifts with Matthews and Marner earlier this year.
He played like 2 full games with them.
McMahon deserves a shot. Like, and Noah Gregor deserved a shot. He's fine. He hasn't been great since, to be honest. But McMahon, give him a shot.
Like, Kyprios, was it on the Empty Netters podcast? I can't remember. But he was basically like, Toronto's where left wingers go to die. And it's true. Like, it's been difficult.
I also liked when
Bunting, Zach Hyman. What are we talking about?
Hyman played the vast majority of his time in the Leafs on the left. On the right. Wait a sec, that's not true.
Yeah.
No, you know what? You're right.
Talking about?
No, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What am I talking about? It's a Kyprios quote.
The Leafs made 2 careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Left the wing.
And
They're
who
great
else?
for other players. Or
And
other
who
teams.
else exactly? And who else exactly?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. He said something else on that too. Oh, it was about, I saw this come up on TikTok. He was talking about salary cap space and why players won't take less. And he's like, the players don't take less on the salary cap because they don't trust the general managers to sign the right players with the money they leave on the table anyway. So they're like, I might as well just take it. And I was like, damn. Not just Toronto, that's everywhere. But I think Toronto specifically was the context. And I don't blame them. Not one bit. Not one bit. The Chevrolet Good Deeds Cup is back for its 8th season, empowering Canadian minor hockey teams to make a meaningful impact on their communities by doing as many good deeds as possible to fill the cup.
Fill it.
We want the cup to runneth over.
Jesse filled his, and that's what he's drinking from right now.
Yes.
Right.
Filled
Good deeds.
Cup.
I'm drinking good deeds.
Here's how it works. You record eligible good deeds, post it to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or X using hashtag GoodDeedsCup and hashtag contest. And remember to tag at Chevrolet Canada and hashtag your team's name. Every eligible good deed you, your family, or your community submits on behalf of your team on social will add 1 point to your team's collective score on the Good Deeds Cup leaderboard. And remember, the more points a team collects, the better the chances of winning.
Steve, I'm going to walk you across the street. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to walk you, make sure you make it to the other side. And that's going to be my good deed of the day.
Oh,
When you leave here, I
Thanks, bro.
will walk you across traffic, and we will not be hit by a car.
but you must post about it.
Oh my God, your hands are so big.
You must post. Chevrolet
holding
continues to see hockey as a great Canadian sport and wants to inspire youth to get in the game regardless of gender, race, or ability. $100,000 for a registered Canadian charity of the team's choice, and the title of Chevrolet's Good Deeds Cup champion. This year, it's on the line. You go to ChevroletGoodDeedsCup.ca to learn more. Let's talk about the Morgan Rielly suspension. 5 games is enough to keep him out of the lineup. Not enough to take it to a neutral arbitrator. He can appeal, and from what I've asked around, and the consensus is that the Leafs will appeal, but the person who makes the final decision on that is George Parros' boss, guy you've never heard of. His name is Gary Bettman. Now,
Who has gone against Parros in the past?
Yeah.
In favor of the Leafs.
yes, and that was with Spezza?
Yes.
Okay.
He went from 6 to 4.
Well, because it was ridiculous, and they know. I think in that
was no
particular
precedent
case, there was no precedent for it because there are no precedents, but also because they know they would have lost the arbitrator. I don't think Gary Bettman did that because he's like, I like Jason Spezza. He did it because he knew the arbitrator was going to reduce it anyway.
Well, you know what I think the NHL had no appetite for? This story continuing. Like, all right.
I thought it was great.
Give him. Oh, yeah. Did you?
I think the
Everyone
story's
did.
great. Yeah. I mean,
Not-
God, they got it on Pat McAfee. Come on. Like a legitimate story on that show rather than being like, yo, let's bring Gary on and pretend hockey's awesome and that we all love
Isn't
it. Like,
hockey awesome? Like, just
They were
making
actually-
a mockery of it.
legitimately talking about it.
Yeah. No.
I've never seen Gino Reda more fired up in my entire life.
No?
Gino Reda
What was
got
Mean
so-
Gene saying?
Man, so they had Brian Hayes, they had Marty Biron, and then they had Gino, and they did a segment together. Brian Hayes, obviously, full blown, like, yeah, he did the right thing. Marty Biron, and actually a lot of ex-NHLers are like, yeah, he should have expected something. Maybe
Yes.
not a cross-check to the face, but he should have expected
Yes.
something. And Gino's like, listen, the only person that Morgan Rielly hurt there, and this is just his opinion, I'm repeating it, is his teammates because now he's out 5 games.
And honestly,
All legitimate.
it's kind of valid. There's some validity to that.
Yeah, but he said it in a far more fiery way.
Mean Gene.
Gino, you're not used to him being all fired up, but apparently he's a very
you're
passionate
not.
guy. Yeah.
He's never been your boss.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're a 22-year-old fucking up his scripts.
You might have a problem with it.
That was me. 21, actually.
So okay, guys, 5 games. What was your reaction when Kevin Weeks leaked it? And we will get to that, by the way.
My first reaction was, how the hell does Kevin Weeks know that?
Yeah.
I know maybe I'm a little too close to the painting.
Let's not talk about that. Let's keep going.
Well,
Come on.
no,
That's later in the story. Let's talk about
it's
Morgan
relevant, and I guarantee Brad Treliving's going to bring it up today. But 5 games, my reaction was, all right, fine. But like 5, I can sort of live with. I've seen 5-game suspensions before, but the ramp up to this made it seem like Rielly was going to get, everyone seemed to latch on to the number 6 because with an in-person hearing, you can do 6 or more. Mm-hmm. No, guys, like when I heard it could be 6 or more, I'm like, they're going to really throw the book at this guy. And I started to allow myself to believe 8 to 10. I really did.
Well, your worst case scenario, though.
I am worst case Ontario, and I understand that. The battle of worst case Ontario always goes on in my head. And listen, it's what's been fascinating is I've said so much about this incident, and a lot of people heard all of it, and everyone who heard all of it, or most people who heard all of it, were like, "Oh, okay. I see where you're coming from." But the people who heard some of it were like, you fucking unreasonable, stupid asshole. But as a Leafs fan, I am saying this. With 6 seconds left in the game, attacking a player who just scored a goal, dude, you can't do it. It needs to be something that's taken out of the game. Like, even if you push and shove the guy, like, you can't be doing that. There have been some people who have crumpled up their reputations and opinions and relevance and thrown it over their shoulder over the last few games.
You mean since the Rielly
Yes.
Days. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
like,
games, yeah.
like, listen, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Say what you want about me. I'm very open about what my biases are. I like the Leafs. There's a lot of liars.
No, according to Leaf fans, you don't.
Oh yeah, some Leaf fans. Listen, you can't please everybody. But
Right.
I've never lied to you.
Mm-hmm.
I told you who I cheer for. And there's a lot of people who are
Serious journalists,
who
quote unquote.
claim to not be fans.
I think, man,
Get out of my face!
I think
not a chance.
based it on his
Not
tweets,
a
Bruce
chance.
Garriock spent more time in hospital than Ridley Grigg. Like he's just like every time he brings it up, it's not Morgan Rielly incident or Morgan Rielly crosscheck. It's vicious Morgan Rielly crosscheck. Every tweet.
Well, I mean, you
And
don't
you're
get
like,
5-game
"Oh,
suspensions
Bruce,
for gentle ones.
Bruce, relax. Listen,
I'm not going after
here's
him.
the
I'm
issue
not
I
having
have.
to go at him.
I'm ready to put this to bed because it's a okay. I was like 5 games. Yeah, I was expecting somewhere in there, but I'm ready to put it to bed because it's like the absolute. I've never seen this before in my hockey game.
Just lying. Just
You're
lying.
You're flat out lying.
Just lying. And like people comparing it to Dale Hunter on Pierre Turgeon?
That's not the same.
How do you look yourself in the mirror? Aren't you ashamed? Aren't you just a little ashamed?
Anybody who's doing that has never watched a Dale Hunter game outside of that one clip. Look up Dale Hunter's penalty minutes over the
Here,
course of his
I got a
career.
better one. They've never watched the clip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the same. It's the same. In the same way that all car accidents are the same. You're comparing a fender bender to a head-on collision.
Dale Hunter, guys, give me a guess. Dale Hunter played 1,400 games in the NHL. How many penalty minutes did he have?
1,400, 1,600.
Okay, Jesse.
20,000.
Well, Steve's closer, but
Not by much.
3,500.
Holy shit!
There was one season where he got less than 100 penalty minutes, and it was his last one where he played 12 games.
What was his biggest?
Actually, no, that's not even true. Even his last one, it was 12 games with the Avs. I remember he got traded there, and the Capitals, he had 102. So,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What was his biggest one? Did he ever top 300?
I'm looking. No, I think it's 265 and 85-86 with the Nordique. No, 272, 81-82 Nordique. Yeah, so Morgan Rielly, Lady Bing finalist, Dale Hunter, masochist.
Dale Hunter.
Yeah.
Like
what are we talking
comparing
about?
Those two things is humiliating. And also, there's a lot of people you don't need to listen to anymore. It's good because this incident allowed you to see who you don't need to listen to anymore.
You're not talking about fans, though. You're talking about, like, major media.
I'm talking about, some fans, too. Because there are fans who are fun to talk with.
Yes.
Because they're reasonable. And even though they don't like your team, they understand. And then there are some fans that hate the Toronto Maple Leafs more than they love their own team. They hate the Toronto Maple Leafs more than they love hockey. Like, genuinely, deeply. And there was a big air of, oh my God, this story is exhausting. And I agree, but I don't think I agree for the same reasons. Were Leaf fans a little unreasonable? I'm sure a lot of them.
Forever and always.
Forever and always. That's what, fanaticism is, as long as you don't take it overboard or whatever. But there were a lot of people. I mean, the Schadenfreude was ridiculous. And that's okay. You're allowed to hate a team. You're allowed to love every bad thing that happens to the Leafs. I just don't have to regard your opinion as legitimate.
Okay.
As a result.
Jesse, you're smiling over there. Why?
No, it's just we wanted to put this to bed, and then we spend a lot of time talking.
I was gonna put it to get bed after this show. I think. Why would I bring it up if I was putting it to bed today? All right. This is putting it to bed.
Well, putting it to bed, and then the GM of the Leafs is going to talk about it. And
yeah, it won't go to bed now.
This friggin' zombie.
I want to show you
story.
something that happened last night that was a non-call on Ridley Grigg, and I'm not sure if you've seen this.
A non-call on Rielly Grigg.
Jesse, the video is from @EverydaySends on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. If you can go to the 3rd second and just freeze the video.
A non-call on Rielly Grigg.
This involves Boone.
Oh
Center,
my God!
a knee-on-knee.
Sorry, I was very surprised because he wasn't in the frame at all.
Interestingly enough, on this play, the Ottawa Senators get called for something.
Well, they get called.
No
for.
way.
Yeah, they got called for like interference or something on another part of it. But yeah,
I thought you were about to say embellishment.
no, but it's a brutal.
Ooh.
That is an ugly hit.
No, Grig's pretty lucky there.
Now, I don't think this has anything to do with the Morgan Rielly thing at all, but there certainly is. He's certainly on a different level. If you ask the average hockey fan who Rielly Grigg was and who he played for outside of Ottawa before this incident, people would be like, I really don't know.
Maybe he's getting buntinged.
Well, I think what's happening very likely is that he's becoming the Senators' pest, and that's a part of becoming the pest for every team is that there's going to be guys like Boone Jenner. Now, the Blue Jackets got absolutely squashed by the Sens last night.
Yeah, that's usually what you're supposed to do to the Blue Jackets. Everyone.
Yeah, I wish we. But is this the guy who's fighting for pest respectability in the league in the way that Marchand has, or is this a guy who other veteran players are like, listen, I saw what you did, the Leafs. You're not doing that here.
I think both things can be true. Listen, it's a treacherous job doing what he does. It's making the NHL the hard way. It used to be you did whatever to make the NHL by being the bully, by throwing the fists. Now you make the NHL by being the bag. You put yourself in a position where you piss everybody off and they attack you. That's how you make the show these days. There's no more, big cats. You got to be the rat. So
He's a good one, though. He's a good one.
I don't really think we've done much insulting of Rielly Grigg other than I thought he did milk it a little after the Rielly thing. But that's a fine player.
What did you guys think
And
of
a young player, too.
the NHL's context of the suspension, saying that Morgan Rielly did it in a way that Rielly Grigg couldn't have been expecting?
I don't think that's untrue.
You don't think what he did, like in any other context, right? You take a shot after a whistle. I get that that's a different scenario. We've never in our lives seen, like I've never seen somebody take a slap shot at an open net on a breakaway.
No, but it's the NHL talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Okay, so what do you think? So Jesse, you think that that's a fair assessment?
Yeah,
Jesse's right.
In the fact that Rielly Grigg's coming up the boards and Morgan Rielly comes from like the side of him and cross-checks him in the head. Like, I feel like that is an accurate assessment of what happens. Should Rielly Grigg expect retaliation for doing what he did is another conversation. That's the original conversation about like the code and all that.
Should
stuff.
that
But
be included in your, like, if you were at the player safety hearing and you're trying to defend Morgan Rielly, would you have brought that up? Do you think context
I think,
matters?
yeah, because you don't expect, like, Morgan Rielly's actions didn't come out of nowhere, and I think George Peros would acknowledge that Morgan Rielly isn't doing something that isn't retaliatory of something that happened a few seconds before, but the way he attacks him is blindsided.
By the rule book, Rielly Grigg should be able to do a spinorama standing still slap shot in the blue paint and then just skate off and nothing happens.
Yes.
By the rule book, but that's just not based in reality.
Yes. So you have to acknowledge that Rielly Grigg has the freedom to skate on the ice without being cross-checked in the head, but also Morgan Rielly is reacting to an incident that happened that was within the rules. Like, you're allowed to do that. It's just annoying and, a little petty.
Rielly Grigg couldn't have expected it. Oh, you mean the dude he's looking right at in the video that I just saw?
Yeah.
So, do we
want to play Department of Player Safety?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just the audio.
Yes, this is just the audio. It is high sticking, no history. Adam's favorite guy talking about Rielly Grigg and Morgan Rielly.
Saturday night in Ottawa, Maple Leafs defenseman Morgan Rielly was assessed a major penalty and a game misconduct for forcefully cross-checking Senators forward Rielly Grigg in the head well after the end of the play. As the video shows, with seconds left in the game and the Senators ahead, Grigg is sprung on a breakaway with the Maple Leafs having pulled their goaltender, with Rielly following on the back check. Grigg approaches the goal and takes a slap shot from close range into the empty net, then turns up ice to celebrate the goal. As he does so, Rielly skates towards Grigg with purpose, and for some distance, raises his stick high with both hands and intentionally strikes Gregg in the head with substantial force. This is cross-checking.
I never
It is important to note that there are a number of factors that separate this play from other cross-checking violations, elevating the incident to merit this level of supplemental discipline. This is not the case of two players mutually jousting where both players could reasonably expect escalating conflict.
Can you pause it for a sec?
Yeah.
Mutually jousting?
Because cross-checking, when you're in front of the net, they don't call it.
Right. Are you allowed to fuck around with people and just joust? Jousting's fine. It's fine. Like, this is I know the game is over, but like just off the top of my head, basically every playoff game ends with both teams beating the shit out of each other. And that's just allowed. So jousting and beating the shit out of each other is fine. This crosses the line. Good league. Anyway.
I think they're acknowledging that when you're in front of the net and there's some sort of battle, and guys are cross-checking each other, that's not called as a penalty. He's using the terminology jousting to acknowledge that there are incidences on the ice where cross-checking is...
They allow infractions.
It's allowed, but it's not really allowed,
Right. That's not how you run anything. Anyway,
contact,
continue.
or for both players' sticks to come up high. This is also not an inadvertent or accidental use of the stick while leveraging for body position or for other hockey purposes. This play occurs well after the goal has been scored, late in the game with the score out of reach, and for the sole purpose of retribution. And while we acknowledge Rielly's argument that his stick does make...
Did you hear that?
Oh, how does he know intent? Sorry, that's what I'm told every
This play
single
occurs
time.
well after the goal has been scored, late in the game with the score out of reach, and for the sole purpose of retribution.
He's right.
And while we acknowledge Rielly's argument that his stick does make some contact with Gregg's body before striking Gregg in the head, this is not a case in which a stick that is raised to an excusable level is significantly deflected up and into the head and neck area. Rielly pursues Gregg for some time and has sufficient opportunity to choose to engage him in a different manner or ensure that this cross-check is delivered solely to the body. Instead, fully in control of this play at all times, Rielly...
He can choose to engage with him in a different manner, which is to say some level of fucking with your opponent's totally cool. Again, it's just not a league.
Yeah.
It's just not a reputable sports league.
So this is the thing, though. I think it is. I think they're acknowledging that had Morgan Rielly taken a baseball bat to the back of his knee or his legs, where his calves are, probably would have been a game misconduct.
Yeah.
If Morgan Rielly said, I'm going to channel my inner Jacob Trouba and take a baseball bat to this player in a
Trent
way...
Frederick's face.
in a way that's to the back of his shin instead of Trent Frederick's face, Morgan Rielly skates off with maybe a 1-game suspension.
Punched him.
Maybe nothing.
Punched him. Yeah. Dude, the end of Game 4, Leafs-Panthers, the only game of that bloody series that the Leafs won, the Panthers went, all right, well, it's going to Game 5. Let's, beat the shit out of them. And then they did.
Yeah.
They just beat the shit out of them. This is the NHL accidentally admitting, you're allowed to beat the shit out of him a little.
I don't think it. I think they're
absolutely.
They're acknowledging the sport, and we all know it, and it'd be like they couldn't not say it.
The sport that has no defined rules whatsoever.
Yes, the rules are vague on purpose. They've got 40 seconds left.
He chooses to raise his stick to the level of Gregg's head and neck, approaching from the side and delivering a forceful strike to the face with his stick well after the goal has been scored. In short, this is not a hockey play. This is an intentional, forceful strike to an opponent's head, using the stick as a weapon to exact retribution on an opponent well after a goal has been scored. To summarize,
Key points.
Ooh,
this is cross-checking.
new graphic.
All right, put this up, Maddie. We got a new graphic.
Cross-checking.
Rielly has been neither fined nor suspended previously
history.
in his 769-game NHL career.
Nice. Oh, yeah, we can't show this.
There you go.
The Department of Player Safety has suspended Morgan Rielly for 5 games.
Why do you say it like that? Has suspended Morgan Rielly.
So there's their explanation.
It is a reasonable explanation. It is, and it was for retribution. But I am going to reference that video all the time because a certain level of fucking with your opponent is fine. A-OK.
Yes, it is.
NHL.
And that's okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Just acknowledge it, and they did. That's great.
Just acknowledge it and enforce it as you see fit.
No,
Yes.
they're gonna enforce it when they feel like it.
That's right.
When something happens with the Leafs, they will acknowledge these things and suspend people.
By the way, this would not have been a big a story as it is if it was not the Leafs. And let's just can all fan bases acknowledge that? Can we just acknowledge that if this was Carolina and Nashville, this is not something that people are worried about.
If that Rielly Grigg knee-to-knee happened last night in St. Louis and Toronto, we're starting the show with
Yes.
Oh,
but because it happened to an Ottawa Senator, it's not a big deal.
which
And because it was
bullshit.
dealt by a Columbus Blue Jacket.
Yeah, because it was a game between the Blue Jackets and Sens.
Yeah.
Like there's something that happens when it happens. Something happens with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's a bigger deal.
Yep.
With the biggest.
Just
franchise
ask
in the league.
every fan of every other fan base because they're paying attention too.
the NHL also fundamentally doesn't care about your knees. It's like you snapped it and changed their career forever. 2 games.
Okay, so let's move on to Kevin Weeks, who broke the story. This is the first time I've ever seen a suspension break via Insider. And he's so inside, sometimes people forget that he works for the NHL. Now, the
true.
report last night, and it's been reported on a little bit by David Alter of the Hockey News this morning, that Kevin Weeks broke this before the Leafs were told.
Oh,
And
lovely.
that is, I mean, listen, the guy's been breaking trades. He's a really likable guy. No one's got a bad word to say about Kevin Weeks.
I don't have a problem with him.
I have a feeling that there might be a meeting today, though. Like, if you're, like, I'm sure the NHL doesn't want that.
well,
I'm
like,
sure
no.
they want to at least put in the call to Brad.
Kevin Weeks is doing his job as I guess a journalist.
Yes.
And
And good for him.
personality. No problem with that. Whoever gave him the information, though, is gonna get their ass kicked.
See, that is more. So Kevin is less the problem here. It's the person that leaked it.
Yeah, his job is to gather information. But as someone involved in the actual process itself, it is not your job to give that information to Kevin Weeks.
Do you wonder if I wonder this sometimes because, again, like I said, he works for the NHL on the NHL Network. Do you think he ever is like he's like about to send a tweet and goes, okay, like I hope I don't get in trouble for this? Like,
No. No, he tweets all the time. I can't imagine there being more. No, dude, that guy, he beat me to the Brendan Manel trade, and I'll never forgive him for it. I'll never forgive him for it. But no, he tweets all the time. So I have a hard time believing he's like, you know what? We're going to limit it to 5 tweets this hour.
Jesse, let's say that you're the Leafs front office. How do you react to finding out through Kevin Weeks that one of your best players was suspended in one of the most high-profile incidents to happen in the NHL this season?
Yeah, because the report came from Darren Dreger on Hockey Insider, and he said that the Leafs, he said, I'll use the word disappointed. It's not the word that was thrown at me in describing the events of the day. So, like, they're more disappointed that this got leaked, because it shouldn't be a situation. The first people that should be told are the Leafs. It shouldn't go through something where they know the amount it's being like told to staff, and then eventually it gets to the Leafs. It should be first to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Right.
And I think they have very fair criticisms to be upset with how this league handles things like this. And this isn't like a one-time off. I feel like we over the course of like months and years as the NHL goes along and we talk about it consistently, more of these things pop up in that, like, hey, this should go through a certain amount of protocol, and through the NHL's poor running of their league,
Everything. Yeah.
these things happen more often. And I think back to the Dodonov trade.
Oh, yeah.
And how they still don't have a certain level of governance over those no trade lists.
Yep.
And when you don't have these things in place within your organization, these things happen where the Leafs find out through Kevin Weeks that their player is being suspended. And the NHL just needs to run their league better.
I did want to update you guys. Brad Treliving will not speak to the media today.
No, I called it off.
But all the I've got Chris Johnson, Jonas Siegel, David Alter, and Luke Fox all tweet. Morgan Rielly is filing an appeal. Brad Treliving will not speak. Maybe he's just not ready. He doesn't want a suspension.
What am I to take from that
He's too heated. He's pissed.
What am I to take from that other than Brad was about to say some shit that he shouldn't say?
Yeah, he shouldn't talk until they go through the appeals process, just in case he says something publicly and fumbles that.
That sure seems to be what it was.
Yeah.
I think we were going to get a little Mad Brad.
Mad Brad would be fun.
The Brad
I would
dog.
love that.
I think 4 games was the right number. I think
you're right.
5 was 1 too many, and it should have been 4.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it comes
It's
down
the
to
Leafs
that.
20% tax.
Yeah, which is a little absurd.
I'm sorry, it's a thing. Like
It is a thing.
We keep bringing up Spezza. Low key, 2022. Kyle Clifford having the longest suspension of the playoffs for 75% of the playoffs was absurd.
Yep.
For it was a bad hit. It was a bad hit, but like there were 1,000 bad hits. I believe that was a playoff run where Jamie Benn famously got fined in back-to-back games.
Yes.
Just simply.
That was in the Oilers series, right?
Jamie Benn?
No.
I'm not sure who it was against. Vegas, maybe? That's
the thing with
Vegas,
Jamie
Vegas.
Benn. He's agnostic when it comes to teams.
Or no, he was actually suspended with his cross checks are rated E for everyone. His hands, no, he keeps them in his gloves, but it's just simply not a league. Like, it sounds like whining and complaining. I'm asking dozens of questions all the time, and we never get an answer. That called back Nylander goal, where they're like, here's why it wasn't allowed. And you go, yeah, but the rules? They just never got an answer.
Are the Jamie Benn one, are you talking about the Mark Stone 2-game suspension?
No, that was...
Where he cross-checks him in the neck?
No. So I was getting that confused. So he was actually suspended for that, but I think it was the year before or the year before that. He was fined, and then the next game, he was fined again.
Okay.
Which means it completely undermines the point of a fucking fine. The point of a fine is to be a deterrent and a way of saying, hey, next time you're going to get something else. Like if Mason Marchment hit someone in the head the way he hit Jake McCabe in the head, they obviously didn't feel like it was that bad. That's why he got a fine. But if he does it again, it would be more than reasonable to expect him to get at least a 1-game suspension because we just fined you for this.
Right. So the 2022 fine was against the Calgary Flames, and it was Andrew Mangiapane, who he I think he cross-checked or he high-sticked, I forget, but he got fined for that one. And then I don't know what the 21 fine was, but then 23 he has the Mark Stone suspension.
Man, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say these things don't work. It's
Well, Morgan Rielly, I'm sure, will cross-check someone else in the face.
no, and this is why I just will not fall for it. And I talked about this yesterday in the video. Well, don't you think this should be 5 games? No. That's gaslighting, is what that is. That's gaslighting. Should it be? Yes, of course it is. Is it ever? Fucking no. Only when it comes to the blue and white guys who wear a leaf. Not the other blue and white guys. They're allowed to just beat the shit. They're allowed to clap pucks at the ref, but it's the Stanley Cup final and we understand that they're upset, so it's fine. That's crazy. Do you remember that? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Why don't you illuminate?
The Tampa Bay Lightning pissed and shit their pants when Colorado, they literally pissed and shit their pants. Maddie's like, are you serious, Steve? They pissed and shit their pants in, I think it was Game 6 against the Colorado Avalanche in the Stanley Cup final. Stamkos, if I'm not mistaken, wired a puck at a ref, and Patrick Maroon did something too. I can't remember. It was like within 5 seconds, it was 2 incidents that probably would have earned you 10 games in the regular season. But because it was in the Stanley Cup final and they're sad and they understand feelings, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just show up in training camp. It's all good.
You know what's one of the most bullshit discussions and arguments for the fine for Morgan Rielly, or for the suspension for Morgan Rielly, that I found in the last couple of days was
but wrapping it up. No, I'm
people making the argument that this needs to be the precedent because it never is.
No,
same with Spezza. Same with Spezza.
It's
Shut up.
the precedent and the deterrent. Those are the two justifications that people use for Morgan Rielly getting a whole bunch of games. But it always is just that one incident. If they say, Morgan Rielly, you get 15 games because this is the precedent and this is the deterrent for you and for everybody else. It would never be that because guys are going to continue to play hockey the way they are. And Morgan Rielly's never going to be suspended again for another incident like this because it's a one-off.
You think so?
And it would never be the precedent because if it's not this giant media storm of an incident, it's never going to get this many games. So like, I never buy that the NHL needs to do those two things for this suspension.
And like, I mean, we could sit here for hours. I didn't like Leaf fans bringing up past incidents being called whataboutism because it's precedent.
No, whataboutism
no
is a distraction from the actual issue. Precedent is where something that happened previously, as in precedent, preceded the events, has something that's comparable. Whataboutism would be like, Morgan Rielly cross-checked him in the face. What about
this axe-wielding murderer?
Yeah, like that's you're taking the conversation sideways. That's the point.
Like, okay, Joel Edmondson on Wayne Simmons. He cross-checks him in the head. He cross-checks him in the fucking face. It's a fine.
Yeah, because
I'm losing my mind.
Precedent
It's a
doesn't
fine.
exist with suspensions because every suspension happens in a vacuum with the Department of Player Safety and how they assess the suspension. So like that video we just listened to, like that is what happened previously, and the previous suspensions that they've handed out do not have an impact on what Morgan Rielly gets.
They probably ought to.
They don't though. So that's why the argument of, hey, the precedent is this, or this is going to set a precedent, it doesn't work because everything is taken in a vacuum, and that's the way the NHL likes it.
So
it's nonsense.
When Alan Walsh describes it as a kangaroo court,
He's correct.
he's fucking nailing it.
Because, they make up their rules as they go along. Each time they come up in the news.
And from what we heard, the NHL really likes when he says that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Peros especially. He doesn't have a thin skin at all.
All right.
And sorry, last one.
Okay.
Last one. Just because it references something Adam said that I laughed at. When people are like, oh, well, you can't just walk around the grocery store, and if someone looks at you funny, you can just hit them or whatever. The Alex Chason
That's
suspension
whataboutism.
against the Leafs, what? Oh, the grocery store
Bringing up
one?
the grocery store.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Alex Chason cross-checking Jimmy Vesey in the head. This was in the 2021-2022 season, I think. Or no, it was the season before. Doesn't matter. He cross-checks him in the head after the final horn. They weren't at the grocery store. They might as well have been. The game is over.
Sure.
You are no longer playing an NHL game, and he cross-checked a player in the head. What do you think he got?
Fine, is it?
1 game.
Oh, we got a game. Okay.
Yeah. But like
1 game. What Rielly did was 5 times worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we all sure?
Okay.
Are
Let's
we
move on.
all functioning?
We've litigated this. We're done.
Yeah, it's,
So beginning, middle, and end, they're wrong, and I guess we're just gonna have to sit in it.
That's correct. And that is why they're appealing, because the Leafs also believe they're wrong. And I think the Leafs will get a game reduction just because the suspension leaked. If I'm Shanny, I'm like, you guys leaked a suspension. You better fucking give me a game back. That's what I'd say.
He's going to sit
luck.
out. My assumption is he'll sit out the 5 games before they
Yes.
complete the appeal. And what they're arguing for is the $20,000 he'll get back.
Yeah, something like that.
More than that.
Well, and
More than
you know what's funny about that, Jesse, is that on purpose, Gary will be like, if you're appealing a suspension, he'll be like, I'm so busy. So they'll be like, due to Gary Bettman's schedule, he can't possibly do it till the 5 games are up.
He's going to take a trip to Arizona and look at some land.
Yeah, exactly. Now, listen, you guys know my opinion. Goals are far more important than assists. But when a man gets 6 assists in a game, we must discuss. Connor McDavid currently has a 19-game home scoring streak. 19 games. 6 assists last night. He got his 600th career assist on assist number 3. 600 career assists for Connor McDavid already.
Bananas.
What do you say that hasn't been said?
I think the race to 1,000 this season is back on.
Okay, let's have a look at that right now.
So I did the research, Adam.
Okay.
Now, earlier this season, he had to score 2 points a game. Unfortunately, that number has risen. He needs to score 2.2. It's still very unlikely, But if he has a few more games like this, it's going to, like, April 1st is going to hit, and we're going to go, can he? He's going to get close. He needs, I think it's 73 points. He needs 73 more.
He currently has 77.
Yes. So
How many games?
There's 33
35?
35 left.
Played 47. Does that make sense?
Or no, 37. He needs 77 in 37, I believe, is the number I came up with.
He has 33 games left. The Oilers have played 49.
He can still do it.
Well, then I don't fucking know.
You don't think Connor McDavid can get 70 points in 30 games?
I thought you did the fucking research.
I was
2.2
in bed
points.
when I did the research.
2.2 points, 30 games plus 30 times 2 is 60.
I did this
2.2 would be divided into 5. That would be 10 more points.
This was me before bed. I was like,
Yeah, whatever. You know what? The reality is he has, in his career, had 4 assists 7 times in a game. This can happen. We could get to 1,000 points very soon here.
oh, yeah.
I like it. I'm ready for it. Yeah, it has to happen. You got to think he's thinking of that, right? Now that they're back on.
Okay, listen, the Oilers don't need much help. And we just talked about a good Oilers thing, which means we need to talk about a bad Oilers thing. How does Connor Brown have 4 assists? He has 4 assists in over 40 games. How? How is that possible? How is it possible he's been producing that little and he's played that many games? McDavid had 2 more assists last night than Connor Brown has in 41 games.
Bobby McMahon almost equaled Connor Brown's points out
Last night!
output for the whole year.
How is that possible?
I feel for him. He was a good player, but I don't know that. I haven't watched him close enough to be honest. If I'm watching the Oilers, it's for Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid.
I mean, it's reasonable to assume he's not doing great. He might win a cup.
Yeah.
He might, honest to goodness, win a cup.
And good for him if he does, but you know, the Oilers are going to have to reckon with that $3 million bonus next year, are they not?
Yep.
Yes, sir. They might. I mean, if they win a cup, they literally don't care. But
Yeah, that's the whole idea, right?
that's the whole
But
idea.
What's weird to me about that contract now that I'm thinking about it is like,
The
okay,
fact that they did it.
yeah, because you think about it, and I know there's the Jeff Jackson thing, but take that out of it for a second. Like,
I mean,
Corey Perry signed in Chicago for $4 million.
Sure.
Okay. Nick Foligno signed in Chicago for $4 million.
Sure.
I think Jason Dickinson's extension in Chicago was $4 million too, or something like that, or whatever it was that he just signed.
in and around.
Are you telling me that Corey Perry wouldn't have gone to Edmonton this summer to play with Connor McDavid for $4 million, which is essentially what they're paying Connor Brown? Like I know they got him later, but I'm just saying it's
No,
like,
Connor Brown is $775 on the cap.
Yeah, this is the difference, right?
Yeah.
It goes to
next year's
next year.
which is going to eat the new
what-
cap for them.
I guess what you're
Right.
saying is, couldn't the Oilers have offered Perry the same thing?
Sure.
Maybe they
Yeah.
did. Maybe they did. He didn't want to go.
Yeah, I think if I'm Corey Perry, I'm taking that money up front. I don't know if I'm playing beyond this season. You know, every year is like a 1
But it was like a 10-game bonus. He played 10 games and then he gets the $3 million
the
bonus.
reason Connor Brown is on the team still is because the guy who signed the contract is now in charge of that contract, and he didn't want to cut him because that's his guy. Oh, like I think any other GM realizes what they have 10 games in, and it's not something you can keep going with if you want to protect your cap for next year. Like it's an awful decision to keep him past the 10 games.
And if they win the cup,
Yeah, who cares?
no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
But man, listen. In my experience, he's been a great guy. He's probably an even better guy than I know, because he's still like. It's not even that he's on the team; he's playing every night.
Yeah, that fourth line.
That's crazy, man.
Derek Ryan and Sam Gagner.
I guess as long as they're not getting scored on, you don't care.
I was so disappointed in last night's game because Alex Lyon was having a nice little stretch there for the Red Wings, and the Red Wings have been on fire. Like, they've been a great team to watch, and just see him get exploded by the Oilers for I think 7 goals against for him is just. I was like, damn it.
Is he on your fantasy team? Is that
I was watching him for fantasy as well. You know, like there's somebody to keep an eye on because you pick him up on waivers usually, and just. You know, you go up against a really good team and you get exposed.
Evan Bouchard, 1 goal, 2 assists. Thank you.
The Los Angeles Kings got blown out in Buffalo last night, 7-0.
Way.
Are the Kings bad? Because they just fell. So the Oilers winning last night and the Kings losing means the Oilers are now, remember, they were dead last with the Sharks. They are now third in the division.
How far away from being sellers are the Kings? How much longer does this need to persist?
The Western Conference, weirdly, I think is a lot weaker than we think at the bottom in the middle pack.
There's no middle class. It's high end or bad.
There's like 6 really good teams and then just a whole bunch of mid in there. And thankfully for the Los Angeles Kings, that's the way it's worked out because they've been one of the worst 5 teams in the National Hockey League for 3 months now, and they're still in a playoff spot.
3-5-2 in their last 10.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was that good. The Avs low-key have a little bit of Leafs in them, where some nights you watch them and you're like, you won a cup 2 years ago? Like, you're the worst team in the NHL. Yeah. And then the next period, you're like, oh, never mind, you're the best. Sorry, I was mistaken. Those are just the games that Makar and McKinnon friggin' completely take over. But yeah, it's mostly the teams at the top. Vancouver, Winnipeg when they're healthy, even though they had a bit of a bump. Vegas, Dallas, all the rest, Like, I don't know if there's a Florida there. Like a team that just scrapes in and all of a sudden wrecks shop. I just don't know if that's there in the West. I think it'll, I don't know. There's always a surprise, but I don't think we're going to be very surprised this year.
You've just fired your coach, and I know it's just one game, but let's be honest. For LA, it's a trend. You fired the coach. What now?
Well, Dubois goes on a heater. Has he not?
Not yet.
Oh.
There's always time.
Yeah, well, there's
actually 7 more years.
Actually, yeah, there's a little over 7 years, actually.
It can't just be him, though.
All right.
It can't. It can't.
He's paid for it to be him.
Well, he's paid, He's paid 8.5, whatever.
Score some goals.
But there's other people.
Yeah, you make 8.5, score some goals. Like, yes, coaches have a job. Yes, you have teammates. Mm-hmm. You're paid like a star. Score some goals.
I think a lot of it too is playing team defense. Like I think the forward group as a whole can't play defense, and I think it's very indicative of who they lost to in particular. Because the Buffalo Sabres, the thing that they've struggled most at is scoring goals, and they hang a 7. And to just illustrate how weak they've been in goal scoring, UPL. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah.
He in the last since December 30th. Since December 30th, UPL is the best goalie in the league.
Wow.
He has a .941 save percentage. That leads any goaltender with more than 2 starts.
How many games?
In those 12 games.
Wow.
Let me give you this. In those 12 games, he's 7-5.
What?
But he has the best save percentage in the entire National Hockey League since December 31st. So the Buffalo Sabres are getting the best goaltending, but they have an inability to score goals. And in that little stretch too, also 3 shutouts.
Holy shit!
And it's still only 7-5. So for the fact that they were able to hang a 7 spot against the Los Angeles Kings and get that goal scoring going with for UPL, I think is so apparent to like, hey, the Kings, you're struggling. You are actually struggling here because the Buffalo Sabres are getting their ass kicked despite getting this great goaltending. And the one night they get a whole bunch of goals is against you. Yeah. And shout out Paul Hamilton of WGRZ who had that great UPL stat.
You can't, Jesse.
He's on fire.
You can't tell me that the Buffalo Sabres believe that they're not a better team than the teams ahead of them. And the teams ahead of them are many. Mm-hmm. Montreal Canadiens. We know in a head-to-head 7-game series, Buffalo's winning that.
They've been...
Stop it.
They've been kind
Stop
of...
it.
They've been good recently.
Come on.
They've been good recently. Yes,
Steven,
they have.
Stop. No.
Adam, but they have.
I know they have been good. It's a long season. Who are you taking? Who are you putting money on?
Well, how many games are there?
7 games. In a 7-game series.
No, in a season.
No, I'm asking you if you were...
Let me say the thing!
Okay, how many games are there?
There's 82 games!
Right, so even the bad teams have winning streaks.
No, there's a second... There's so many games. All right.
I think that the Buffalo Sabres, based on how they played last year, have got to believe that outside of the top-end talent, they have to think that they're better than the Penguins. If I'm a Sabre, I do. If you're the Buffalo Sabres, you've got to think, man, we're better than the Caps. We got to be better than the Islanders. Maybe not the Devils, but the Devils have had some bad luck with injuries, and they're trying to get a goaltender and blah, blah, blah.
I think we skipped ahead a year. Like, we thought the Atlantic was going to be a complete mess this year.
Not yet.
And then it's almost the same. One more year.
One more
year. Ottawa's going to be in there. Montreal is going to stay in the fight for much longer. And Buffalo should be in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And you look at something like their goal differential. Goal differential is such an easy thing to look at and be like, hey, where's the team at? They're -5, but they're 8th in the wild card race. You know, like that's
It's really not bad.
They were
it's not
-12 going into last night. Though.
Oh, well.
you know,
Fair point.
7. Yeah.
But yes, agreed.
But like in the Montreal Canadiens, the goal differential thing are -37.
Holy shit.
You know, so it's an easy thing to look at, but I think the Buffalo Sabres are a lot better than what they've played. As I said, they're getting the best goaltending in the National Hockey League since the start of the new year. If they could have just get some scoring going, if they could get a little bit more stops earlier in the season, I think the season looks differently. But they're too far back now to save this season.
Sorry, I'm just going down the standings. So there's the Leafs and Red Wings who are in the wild card. Then it's goal differential. Devils -4, Islanders -22, Washington -37, Pittsburgh +13, Habs -37. Like,
Pittsburgh is somehow 3-4-3 in their last 10.
dude, and their goal differential improved from the last time we talked about it. What is with this friggin' team?
It is
Do they
a
just
weird season.
mop teams
what?
when they beat them and then lose?
You know what I can't wait for? This summer when Kyle Dubas goes, listen, the advanced numbers were really good. I know we missed the playoffs, but we're keeping it the same. Get ready, Pittsburgh. Get ready.
I'm
Get ready.
excited.
Pittsburgh.
Sorry, Cody Cece's actually good.
Pittsburgh's inability to string together a good stretch of like 15 games is the most confounding thing to me this season.
There's another team with, like, they've gotten incredible goaltending.
yeah, Tristan Jarry's been great, but like
Get Vezina votes.
if they can't put together a good 2 weeks of hockey, it's like what are we doing here? We can't all season long be like you're gonna win 4 and then you're gonna lose 6 and then you're gonna win 5 and you're gonna lose 3. Like that's what they've been doing all year long. I just want to put together some good hockey and get back into that playoff race. But if they can't do it, we're mid-February. Like you're running out of time here.
Mid-February.
Yeah.
Mid-team.
Anyways, the Devils, like, if we're just talking about the playoff races here, I think the Devils miss, and I think the Red Wings, like, they're gonna do it this year.
Devils will be fine, though.
Yeah, man. I was pretty hard on Detroit, didn't understand the signings they made. And I think if the New Jersey Devils hadn't had the year they're having with injuries, and I think if the Pittsburgh Penguins could score a power play goal, Detroit is not in the playoff picture. But the reality is you got to play the games, and Detroit has played them and played well, really well, especially lately, like really come on strong.
They're going to be so interesting. Oh, this Ben Sherratt guy sucks. And then the playoffs start and activate nothing matters rules.
Yeah.
And he just
Currently,
beats the shit out of everyone.
it would be Ben Sherratt versus the Boston Bruins.
Oh, I think that's a great matchup.
The Leafs would have to take on, if it started today, the Rangers.
Oh, you know what? Cool. That'd be a fucking great series.
It would be. It'd be nice for them to play somebody other than the, like, it's always the same. I hate the divisional thing. I want to see some change. Like, it's like if we got to play, like, everybody's like, if we had to play Boston again, groan. Although the Bruins fans would love it.
Well, it's just, did you see the relief when you said Rangers?
Yeah. Well, that's because
I think it'd be fun. Dude, the Leafs should not want any part of the Panthers. I'm gonna watch because it's my job. You don't have to. I think they'll get killed.
Currently, the Lightning have played the most games in the division at 54. They have 63 points. The Leafs have 51 games, 62 points. So I think the Leafs, they're on pace to get ahead of the Lightning. We'll see what happens. I mean, listen, 4 more games without Morgan Rielly, so we'll see.
I want to know what Mad Brad does.
Couple quick stories before we do a quick press conference. Phil Kessel is going to be working out in Abbotsford. He's got a connection long-term with Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet said on camera the other day that he's surprised Kessel was still available. Seems kind of like a really good fit.
I mean, they're pretty cap-strapped, and whether he's an everyday player or not, he just wins cups, man. I mean,
I'd want a guy like that in reserve.
I mean, all the stories that came out about Phil Kessel from the Vegas run were positive.
Yeah. People love him.
Even though he only played 4 playoff games during that run. So he's kind of the perfect player for this team, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. And again, it's about playoffs are so much about mentality. Like if the Leafs had an injury at forward, it's like, oh man, is it going to be Reeves, Holmberg, or Alex Steeves that go in?
Right.
For the Vancouver Canucks, is it going to be Phil Kessel or? And Phil Kessel, I don't know. I don't know what he brings at this point on a fourth line scenario, but at very least, he brings a kind of a calm head.
I think Phil Kessel's still an everyday NHL player. Like
I guess we'll see.
I feel like it's weird that he hasn't gotten a job yet. I shouldn't say every day. I feel like maybe a 3/4 of an NHL season player because he's going to be a healthy scratch every now and again. But I still feel like he has the skills to play in the league.
I think this is what you have to do if the Canucks sign him. Play him, let him make his debut, scratch him the next game, get the Iron Man out of the way, play him. We know he's not playing every game.
If you scratch him after you sign him, I think that'll count too.
Oh, okay, sure, great.
Because then he's on the roster and you didn't play that game. Then it's out of the way. He doesn't play the first game after he signed.
I mean, come on. It's February. He hasn't played a game. It's over.
Let's do that.
And the streak.
Yeah.
Like,
and
also, the streak shouldn't count.
No, it shouldn't. It's over.
It's got to be under contract. He's got to be under contract.
Sure. He also didn't play playoff games. And
like it's over, man.
Let's move on.
It's okay. It's going to be very difficult to break, but it's over.
It's actually not.
I know he's
already the leader.
Yeah, it's not. Technically, it's not, but like in our minds, it's like it's okay.
This is not Cal Ripken.
Want to end this before we get to the press conference. A brutal suicide joke was made about Patrick Laine by a local Columbus Blue Jackets podcast this week. The podcasters have apologized, but obviously it was a total mess. And I think the reason I'm bringing up this story is obviously, you saw Patrick Laine's Twitter account activate, tweet them directly, that sort of thing.
Rattled, yeah.
But what's been amazing is, and this is who I want to shout out. I want to shout out Blue Jackets fans because they've all rallied and started giving to the Blue Jackets Foundation. The Laine Gives Back donation page, and Johnny Gaudreau actually is going to pick up where Laine left off. Gaudreau says he will donate $1,000 per point he scores, goals and assists for the remainder of the season, starting last night and going all the way through until the last game, April 16th versus the Carolina Hurricanes.
I thought it was $1,000. Just here's $1,000
goals and assists.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Nasher has been a part of this, but not just like there are more Blue Jackets fans than Nasher.
Nasher, yes.
But I just want to shout out Blue Jackets fandom for that because I think the rallying of support around him, some of the great stories that have come out about him and his girlfriend, and or maybe she's his fiance now, but some of the stuff that they've done in the community as well has been highlighted. So turning a shitty comment and a shitty situation into a really good one, and I just wanted to give a big round of applause to and a salute. I don't know why I would salute, but salute Blue Jackets fans because they're Blue Jackets, and it's supposed to be a military thing, right?
Yeah, and the cannon.
I feel like you were really good up until that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't make it great. I'm only capable of...
That was a Game of Thrones...
What, you didn't like Season 7 and Season 8 of that?
No, I wasn't the best.
All right, fine. Let's do the press conference quick here.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Linus Ullmark got fined for high sticking. What do you guys think of this play?
What?
I can't show it. Let me play it for the guys, Maddie. There you go.
Let me see.
This is the play. If you could describe it for the audio.
He did get elbowed in the head first, though.
Yeah.
And that the Lightning player did not make any effort to not go into that.
No, he drove his... No, it's Tanner Jeannot. He drove himself right into Ullmark. I mean, if I'm Ullmark, I'm...
No, that's Michael Eyssimont.
Oh, even worse.
Sorry. That's not Jeannot.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
23. So he gets... Shattenkirk pushes him right into Ullmark.
I mean, Shattenkirk pushed him in, or did Mikey Eyssimont get in there?
I think.
I think
Shattenkirk's got his...
No.
Look at his fucking hand!
It's one hand. You one-handed an NHL player? Look at where he skates. Look at it. Hold on, guys, stop.
What are you talking about?
Both of you stop. Look at where Eysimont's left foot is.
Adam,
it's
if you
on
give
the
me
ice.
a second, I
Look
agree
at
with
his
you.
right foot. It's not on the ice. He's pushing off into the goalie. Come on.
No,
Shattenkirk
Adam
does give him a little shove.
the whole way. His hand is on his back.
He gives him a little shove, but Mikey Eyssimont takes the opportunity to drive himself into Ullmark. So I agree with you.
Ullmark should have chopped his head off right there, and he almost did. Listen, I'm not a fan of sticks to the head. I am a fan of, dog pile on top of them and get upset and rah, rah, rah. So I think...
Ullmark, you can't do that.
You can't do that. You legit can't do that.
It's a legit
look,
chop.
Look, hold on. Stop right there. See where Eysimont's knee is, too? It's right on top of Ullmark's knee.
No, I'd be pissed.
Like, if it's any Bruins defenseman other than Shat Deuces, who is not the most physical guy, Mikey Eyssimont has a black eye this morning. For sure.
Oh, my God. I can't believe there aren't at minimum 5 Bruins plus a couple from the bench on top of this player.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is this is all Mikey's problem.
You want to tell me that Kevin Shattenkirk, who was a puck-moving defenseman, never known for his physicality, could one-hand Mikey Eyssimont into his goalie? I don't think so.
I don't think he I think Eysimont's he's going hard at the puck, which is right in the crease. So he's going for the puck. It's loose. It's not like it's covered up. And Shattenkirk also has his hand on him. It's a 1-to-1 action, and he goes into Ullmark. And I don't think it's a dirty play by Eyssimont.
Oh, it's absolutely Eyssimont going. I'm going in the crease, and I don't care.
He did it on
I think he's going in, but he's also helped in by the defender.
But
who
he's
has
not
his hand on the back.
Here's the problem, though. He's not allowed to go in. The problem is Mikey Eysimont's got every opportunity not to go in, and he's like,
"No, if the puck is loose there in the crease, he does have the right to go after the puck. The puck is in the crease. He's allowed to go after the puck. That's not true.
No one's giving. No, okay. Listen, no one's giving. You're right, Matty. It's giving criminal. I think. Anybody who's played the Tampa Bay Lightning has had their team play the Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs while Mikey Eyssimont and some of these other guys have been on. And I'm talking going all the way back to Blake Coleman and some of the other guys. You do not ever give either of these teams the benefit of the doubt. The Lightning and the Bruins do this shit all the time.
I think there's a lot of bias talk in here in that you have just made this conversation about Michael Eyssimont when a guy got literally fined for chopping at a player's head.
Yeah, and you can't do that.
You have distracted completely from that issue of a goaltender taking his stick and one-handing to somebody's head.
This is the Rielly thing all over again.
It's true.
You can't do that, but this reaction didn't fall out of the sky.
This 2 screenshots of it just being a direct chop, that's awful.
That's the Ed Belfour special right there.
I mean, he kind of grazes him. Like, it's not even...
Yeah, he misses.
Yeah,
but that matters.
You got to find him. You got to let him know.
You can't go to jail for missing a guy on a shot.
Okay, if you were at the grocery store,
it's not.
You wouldn't be allowed.
It's not good to guillotine a guy. I completely agree that. I'm with you.
No, if it's a Tampa Bay Lightning player, it's okay.
I'm with you, but
it's okay.
I do not.
No, if you play for Lightning, you can chop off people's heads.
No, Bruins. If you play for the Bruins, you can chop off.
No, if you play for the Lightning, you're allowed to have your head chopped off.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen my team go head to head against the Bruins in the playoffs. You can lick a guy and nothing will happen. You can do anything if you're the Bruins. You can literally do anything. If you're the Lightning, you could do anything. If you're the Florida Panthers, you can do anything. If you're Nazem Kadri, sit the next round.
There was a Lightning fan who was like, well, you can't just react that way. And I was like, maybe sit this one out, huh?
Oh, my God. It's like, do you guys watch your own games?
Yeah, no, I was like, okay.
We all watched the finals, did you?
Yeah. Pot, kettle, maybe relax.
100%.
Maybe sit this one out.
I did have fun debating that with you there, Jesse. Go ahead. Continue.
This is from Nick O on our Discord. Just wondering what you gentlemen think of the true hockey god himself, Cody Ceci, scoring his first goal in 127 games. It's been a long time coming for the handsomest man in the NHL, but it's finally happened.
Well, he is a handsome guy.
Was he aiming 20 feet wide?
So I remember that. I remember Cody Ceci against the Blue Jackets.
Oh, my God.
Took a shot, and it ricocheted off somebody. It was going 20 feet wide, but it then hit the net.
And he scored.
Oh. And it was he was at the blue line looking at the net, and he's
Seth
like,
Jones.
I'm going to shoot it that way. And he shot it that way. It went off someone, and then it went in the net. Just like he planned.
I want to say he had 2 goals in his first 4 Leaf games, and then never again. And he turned into one of my least favorite Leafs to watch, I think, ever.
That is, and I was this way at the time. And I am this way now. And if I ever get to talk to him about it, we'll have a laugh about it. But I want to sit down with Kyle Dubas with no mics around and be like, Kyle, Kyle, we got to talk about that Cody Ceci comment about the end of the season where you're like, actually, he's good. Come on. What? And I want to know, Kyle, what did you really mean by that? What evidence did you have to back that up?
Needing to get rid of Nikita Zaitsev did not mean we also need this player.
Yes.
That we had an opportunity to get rid of. Kyle. Have you ever seen him pivot, Kyle? Kyle was a tad unreasonable at times.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we all are. Jesse, next question.
This one comes from TanMan1038. Considering he got embarrassed after running his mouth yet again, who would you rather have? Matt Martin, Colton Orr, Ryan Reeves, Mike Brown, or Fraser McLaren?
Well, like 4 of those guys are retired.
Like in their prime.
Let's say you get them at their peak. So including Ryan Reeves. Which one at their peak?
Matt Martin, Mike Brown, Colton Orr,
Fraser McLaren, Ryan Reeves.
I'd probably say Matt Martin.
I'd say, him or Mike Brown. I liked Mike Brown a lot, and I felt like they never gave him the opportunity to play hockey more. He was actually, of those players, I think, if I'm remembering right, he was actually an okay hockey player. Like, he was a good player.
Well, he was a middleweight, right? Like, he wasn't, like, Colton Orr was friggin' huge, and McLaren was huge.
But that line was unplayable.
That's
like,
why they didn't play.
Well, exactly. and like, I loved Colton Orr, I loved Fraser McLaren, but like Fraser McLaren, 4 career goals.
Yeah, Matt Martin's always been a player.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like him. And a true heavyweight.
Yep.
In today's NHL, at very least. Jesse, that thing I sent you mid-show, and you're like, why the hell are you sending me that?
Yeah, when you airdrop me something in the middle of the show?
Yeah, do you want an opportunity to laugh at me?
Sure.
Sure.
Hold on. Give me a second.
Because
What did you do
I would like to add this to the press conference. As today is Valentine's Day, I wanted to share a memory from Valentine's Day 13 years ago. This is a skinnier version of me in a dress shirt, presumably because I was going to take my girlfriend at the time, now wife, out to a restaurant. Mm-hmm. But I'm on a laptop that I don't even know if that's mine or hers or like the work one. I never owned a laptop like that. But my Valentine's Day got shot because the Leafs made a trade that night. This is Valentine's Day 2011.
I think I know what this
all
is.
the other Leafs reporters, because I was working for Leafs TV at the time, were obviously off because it was Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And my wife sent me this today and basically said, never forget. Mm-hmm. This was when the Leafs traded Chris Versteeg to the Philadelphia Flyers for a first-round pick and a third. And they turned that into Stuart Percy with the first and Josh Levo with the third.
Wow. That's not bad.
So that was the one dress shirt I owned.
I remember that shirt.
Yes. Do you?
Yep.
Do you really? No, I just wanted to...
Steve bought that.
I just wanted to say thanks, honey, for being very understanding. I appreciate you allowing me to live my dreams by neglecting dates.
Boy, Chris Versteeg really didn't like it here.
No, he did not. One of the very few former NHL players I've ever seen get skinnier after they retire.
Yeah.
He was at the Easter Seals tournament.
Was he?
And I was just
yeah, he was.
You bastard.
He was the one
Can I give you some of my weight?
The incredible snow pants, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. He was playing with very brightly colored snow
It was
pants.
like purple snow pants. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, something that's important to remember is that we've got SDP VIP. So if you want to subscribe to that, it's $1 a show. Actually, somebody pointed out to me that it's actually less than $1 a show because we're doing 52 of them this year, and there is only $48 required. So that's...
Stop telling us to charge more.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for everybody who's subscribed. Please do subscribe. Right now available on Apple Podcasts and YouTube Premium, or not YouTube Premium, just YouTube.
Just YouTube.
And then beyond that, obviously, we're going to get it up on Spotify soon.
Go to the SDPN page, and there should be an option to click join, and then join.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.